What's happening, guys? I'm Dan. Welcome back to another episode of Pour Michigan Reviews. We're diving back into some outside ales beer, guys. Here we go. It is one of my favorite series, which is the Rye Hipster Brunch. They do different variants of this, different variations of this recipe, but this one is indeed, guys, the Macadamia Nut White Chocolate Rye Hipster Brunch Stout. So this is an Imperial Stout brewed with rye malt, aged in rye whiskey barrels with maple syrup, coffee, freaking bacon, yeah, bacon, and other natural flavors. This was manufactured on 10/31/22. We do not care because, guys, it's aged. It's barrel aged rye whiskey barrel aged. So this should be fine to age for a long time. But unfortunately, this is my only can. I love to age these, but again, I won't be able to do so today. I picked this up the other day at a beverage company in Traverse City. Saw this sitting on the shelf. I think this was the last one. So these pique my interest sometimes because I've tried so many of them. I've reviewed quite a few on the channel. This one, I have not. So I love coffee. I love rye whiskey. I love chocolate. I love all the things that are in this. We like bacon. I mean, come on. You can't go wrong with this. So 11.6% alcohol. I don't think there's much else to say, guys. We're just going to dive in. I think this was like $6.39 for this one can. So huge pop off the top. Completely room temperature. I bought this room temperature. I drink these at room temperature. I've come to find out I like them with a slight chill, but for the reviews, I do them as room temperature because that is where the most flavor is and it is the most noticeable. So proper glassware, not on side, but it is a whiskey glass nonetheless. Let's go to it. So as I pour, it's not as thick as I might have thought. It's a little brownish tan. I can see through it a little bit. It's not jet black when I'm pouring it. But in the glass, no doubt, guys, it is darkness. Burnt mocha, I don't know, cinnamon head. I don't know how you want to call that. A little bit of dark beige in there. But that head is quite fluffy at the moment, but it should be dissipating as this is 11.6%. I've seen other versions of this being 12%, I believe, but this one, for some reason, 11.6, which is fine because that's plenty of octane for me. Let's go to an aroma. Man, that smells like straight dessert. It smells pastry stout. It smells ice cream. It smells like tons and tons of milk chocolate. Doesn't even smell like a beer, to be quite honest. Not getting any of the barrel either. If I take a big whiff, I get a little bit of the ethanol, you know, that little alcohol astringentness going up my nose, but not much. It's covered very well with that dessert vibe. I get like the nutty macadamia chocolatey thing, but honestly, with milk chocolate, I also get that vanilla light white chocolate as well, that sweeter kind of like vanilla ice cream, white frosting kind of vibe. That syrupy sweetness definitely in there as well. It's adding to that dessert that is this beer, straight dessert vibes. Don't get the bacon. Maybe a little bit of smoky woodiness, but it's so gently put in there because there's just way too many sweet adjuncts in this that it just overpowers everything. So let's dive in. It smells like straight dessert. Rye Hipster Brunch, Macadamia Nut, White Chocolate. Cheers. Whew. All right. Sweetness for days and days and days. All kinds of sweetness. Sweetness from the white chocolate. Whipped frosting, kind of cream cheese vibe. You've got this maple syrup sweetness that's very decadent. And then there's this little milk chocolatey goodness underneath, almost like some sort of ganache chocolate. Just super sweet. Again, decadence, but really, really desserty nonetheless. I think we can say sweetness, 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 and then you're hit with that barrel on the back end. A little bit of that peppery rye barrel. I call a little bit of Serrano spiciness. But it is so covered up through the front and middle that you barely notice it on the back end. And this is completely room temperature. Diving back in. White, sugary frosting, drizzled with a little bit of like smoke from a smoker. Like I'm not getting the bacon so much, but I'm getting that like that smoky vibe and that aromatic that comes with smoking products. Because hey, run a grocery store here, I know that smell. It's very subtle, and then on top of that and underneath it, you're getting just so many hints of sweetness adjuncts all over the place. And again, the syrup, the frosting, the cream cheese, it feels like. The coffee bitterness kind of plays into that rye spice on that barrel, so they kind of blend together. So I don't think one's super noticeable, especially the coffee. I'd say that the rye barrel's more noticeable than the coffee, but you get a little bit of like roasty, earthy bitterness from those, coffee beans, if you will, almost espresso. But it goes away. But that barrel does leave you. And it leaves some sort of drinkability on top of that pastry sweetness. But I like that the barrel shows itself, because if it didn't, this would be too overly sweet. There'd be too many things going on. But nonetheless, awfully delicious. They have so many different factors weighing in on this recipe. I do say that the macadamias present. It's nutty. It's vanilla, like white chocolate, which the white chocolate's in there, but it's got that slight, subtle, I call it like frosting, but I think it's that nutty macadamia sweetness. It's just ever so slightly nutty, but it's covered up very well. And you go right into that white chocolate sweetness, even that milk chocolate sweetness, which does lead into coffee and then rye barrel. Bacon, sure. I mean, would I guess that? No, but it does have that subtle smoky quality from smoking meats, but I wouldn't guess that there's like a meat, like bacon, which is good, because do we really want straight up bacon in our mouth unless we're eating it? I don't know. I mean, you guys decide. One last sip. Just a beautiful decadence to this beer again, and the syrup plays so well. With that rye barrel. I think it's one of my favorite recipes is the rye hipster brunch, and I don't like sweet things, but if I was going to have dessert, I'd pass on the cake and I'd go to rye hipster brunch, because it's that good. It's so my vibe, and it's got that beautiful barrel, that whiskey rye peppercorn on the back end that just tries to balance out the sweetness. The sweetness is overwhelming in this, but that barrel tries to offset it to some degree, and you are left with the barrel after all that sweetness. So what a fantastic recipe this is, and another hitter. I think this is good to share. I wouldn't want to drink this whole thing because it's very sweet, but it's a whiskey lover's dream, a rye whiskey lover's dream, and then it's a dessert sweetness, chocolate syrup person's dream also put into one. I'd love to split this with somebody. So that being said, fantastic recipe. I'm just going to hit this with a 4.29 out of 5. It's really good. It's just a little sweet for me, but fantastic stuff from Oddside. Duh, no kidding. It's been another review, guys. White macadamia, nut, rye hipster brunch, whatever you want to say. Mixed up some words there, but I'm Dan. I'm over and out. Knox needs to go outside. See ya on the next review. Cheers.